The wind cut through Northumberland's deserted roads, biting through layers of wool and leather. Snow blanketed the streets like a shroud, muffling even the faintest sound. I was driving alone, heading to my cousin's house, GPS flickering, signal weak. Hours had passed, and the fading daylight made the trees appear like dark silhouettes reaching out to the road. Then I saw her, a woman, soaked and trembling, standing at the roadside, her arm lifted in a hesitant wave. Something about her posture seemed unnatural, too rigid, too deliberate. My car slowed instinctively. The cold urged me to help, yet instinct screamed caution. I stopped. She climbed in without a word, eyes fixed on the windshield, unblinking. Her presence brought a chill that no coat could ward off. The car's heater struggled futilely, and my breath fogged the windows. My hands tightened on the steering wheel as the radio sputtered, emitting bursts of static. Her voice finally reached me, a soft, trembling whisper, "Please, help me." Normal words, unnatural tone. And then, the impossible happened. Her mouth twisted in a way human faces cannot, stretching briefly before snapping back. Panic clamped my chest. Outside, the snow fell faster, almost impossibly fast, piling up on the road, erasing tire tracks. Shadows moved at the edge of my headlights. My rational mind froze. I realized in that frozen instant, heart hammering, that this was no ordinary woman. I had picked up something that shouldn't exist. The road behind me felt alive, watching, waiting. I gripped the steering wheel as the car skidded slightly on the ice. The woman, or whatever she was, sat silently, her eyes fixed straight ahead, unblinking. A cold sweat coated my forehead. My GPS blinked and died completely. I cursed under my breath, realizing I had no idea where I was. The snowstorm intensified, obscuring the edges of the road. Then I noticed them shadows moving along the tree line, tall and unnaturally thin. My heart raced. They seemed aware of my every move. I tried to reverse, to turn back, but the road stretched endlessly, twisting into impossible angles. A faint text vibrated my phone. "You shouldn't be here." Fingers shook. I hadn't received a signal in hours. How was this possible? The thing beside me leaned closer, its face stretching in ways my mind refused to comprehend. The voice came again, low and guttural. "They know." A sudden scrape of metal on ice made me glance at the rearview mirror. The shadows were behind me now, merging, crawling along the snow as if alive. I pressed the accelerator, tires spinning, snow spraying in violent arcs. The engine coughed, then died again. Panic gripped me. Every instinct screamed to run, yet the car wouldn't respond. The shadows pressed closer, their forms twisting impossibly. A whisper from the passenger seat froze me. "You belong to the road now." I realized with horror that the snowy highway had a memory, and it remembered me, and it wasn't done yet. Desperate, I spun the car onto a narrow side path. A faint light glimmered through the snowstorm, an abandoned cottage I vaguely remembered from childhood. The door creaked as I pushed it open, breath visible in the freezing air inside. The thing beside me remained silent, almost patient, its eyes unblinking. The cottage smelled of damp wood and decay. Dust covered every surface, and broken furniture lay scattered. My hands clutched a rusty fireplace poker, a fragile weapon against whatever had followed me. The wind outside howled like a chorus of tortured souls, slamming against the thin walls. Then came the footsteps upstairs, slow, deliberate, echoing through the empty rooms. My stomach knotted. I whispered prayers under my breath, creeping toward the stairs. Each step groaned beneath my weight. A sudden noise downstairs, a low thud, made my heart leap. The thing hissed beside me, voice distorted, almost gurgling. "They remember you." Flashlight flickered, revealing old photographs pinned to the walls. Faces stared back, twisted, screaming, unblinking, and in one frame saw myself, younger, standing by the same snowy road. The attic door rattled violently. Something wanted in or out. The snowstorm outside intensified, pounding the windows like fists. My breath quickened. Every instinct screamed to run, yet the exit seemed farther away with each passing second. A whisper echoed from the shadows, "You cannot leave." Not tonight, I realized then. Trapped in this derelict cottage, That this was no ordinary storm, no ordinary night. The thing had brought me here for a reason, and it would not let me go without paying a price. I crept up the narrow attic stairs, each step groaning under my weight. The air grew colder, heavier, smelling of mold and rust. Shadows flickered along the walls, moving independently, twisting unnaturally. In the corner, a dusty wooden chest caught my eye. Trembling, I opened it. Inside were photographs, letters, and old trinkets seemingly normal, yet horrifying. Every photograph depicted the same woman, sometimes alone, sometimes with shadowy figures lurking just behind her. Her face, distorted, stretching unnaturally in ways human biology should forbid. Suddenly, I noticed something etched into the attic floorboards: names. Old, weathered, decades old. But at the bottom, freshly carved letters. My initials. A cold chill froze my blood. The thing whispered behind me, almost gentle, "It remembers you." The voice warped, stretching the words into something monstrous. My flashlight flickered. In its dim beam, the shadows on the walls twisted into screaming faces, mouths opening impossibly wide. I stumbled backward, hitting the chest. Letters scattered across the floor. Their words seemed to move, rearranging themselves, whispering threats I couldn't comprehend. The attic seemed alive, breathing, pulsating, waiting. I turned to flee, but the door slammed shut. The snowstorm outside had intensified, snow piling unnaturally high against the windows. The shadows outside pressed against the glass like they were alive. I understood then. This cottage was not abandoned. It had memories, and it had claimed victims before. And now, it had claimed me. The cottage stretched impossibly. Doors I hadn't noticed before led into endless hallways. Mirrors lined the walls. But when I looked, they didn't reflect me, they reflected others. Faces twisted in terror, screaming silently, eyes pleading for release. I ran, but the hallway seemed infinite. Every turn led deeper into this nightmare. Behind me, the thing followed silently, always at the edge of my vision. Then a door slammed. I was trapped in a room filled with mirrors, faces staring, twisting. A shadow emerged among them, pointing directly at me. A whisper, "Your fear feeds us." My chest tightened. Every heartbeat, every gasping breath seemed to strengthen them. I recognized some of the faces: childhood friends, classmates, missing strangers from news reports. They were trapped in these mirrors, feeding the thing, becoming part of its world. A sudden scream echoed from the hall, overlapping with dozens of whispers. "You belong here." I backed into a corner, trembling. The mirrors began to distort, faces melting into grotesque versions of themselves. I realized the thing didn't just want me, it wanted my fear, my panic, my life essence to fuel whatever realm I had stumbled into. A final reflection caught my eye: me, younger, smiling, oblivious, and beneath it, words etched in frost. "The road remembers." Panic surged. I had no exit. A door led to the outside. I stumbled into a snow-covered garden, snow piling impossibly fast, ankle deep in moments. The thing emerged behind me, distorted face illuminated by the pale moonlight. Shadows swirled in the storm, whispering my name. I ran blindly, slipping on ice, tearing my hands on frozen branches. Ahead, a wrought iron gate appeared, faint in the snowfall. I sprinted, but the shadows moved faster, dancing at the edges of vision, closing in. The thing's distorted whisper reached my ears. "You cannot leave." Its voice sliced through the howling wind, reverberating in my skull. I pressed on, lungs burning, adrenaline searing every muscle. A sudden gust slammed me into the ground. When I rose, I realized the gate had vanished. Only endless snow stretched ahead. Panic clawed at me. The shadows formed into humanoid shapes, reaching, their faces blurred, but screaming. I stumbled backward, realizing the storm itself resisted me. Snow rose unnaturally under my feet, suffocating the path. Every instinct screamed to run, yet I was trapped in this frozen nightmare. A distorted chuckle echoed, originating from nowhere and everywhere. I understood. This was a realm beyond roads, beyond time. The road had remembered me, and now it owned me. Words. I woke in my car. Snow blanketed the windshield, thick and undisturbed. My hands shook violently, frostbitten, breath fogging the glass. The passenger seat was empty. I started the car, relief flooding me until I looked in the rearview mirror. A shadow flickered behind me, distant but unmistakable. My headlights caught the outline of the woman, or what she had been, standing by the roadside, arm raised in that same eerie wave. The GPS worked again. The road ahead looked normal, yet something about it felt wrong. Too still, too silent. The storm had vanished, leaving only snow and shadows. My phone buzzed. A single text: "We never forget." I drove slowly, every instinct screaming that the road was alive, watching, remembering. Every mile, the snow seemed to whisper, shadows flickering at the edge of my vision. Even now, years later, I avoid that road, and whenever snow falls heavily in Northumberland, I swear I see shapes beneath the white blanket, figures waiting, patient, hungry, remembering me. I learned the hard way: some roads keep memories, some roads feed on fear, and some never let go.